Update on Tropical Storm Nadine and Tropical Depression, our newly formed Tropical Depression number 15. Let's take a look at Nadine first. Nadine here we have, we're down to about 60 mile/hour winds. This storm is actually heading off towards the northeast. It will affect the Azores with probably within the next 2.5 to 3 days. Gusty winds 30, 45 miles per hour. We could see some rainfall amounts on the order of 3, 4, 5 inches. But Nadine, one thing to note is the wind radius is very small on this storm, and this storm is a very small storm, so it will only affect the northwestern portions of the islands of the Azores. In fact, there are no tropical storm warnings at the moment because this storm is expected to slowly weaken as it heads towards the Azores and acquire subtropical and extratropical characteristics. Now let's take a look at 15. 15 is developing 35 mile/hour winds. This storm is heading off towards the northeast. This storm is going to stay west of the Cape Verdes and possibly head up towards the Canary Islands. Some of the computer models are hinting this going up towards Portugal and eventually Spain, so this is something to watch as it possibly become extra tropical as it heads towards Europe and could be a problem for them. As for the rest of the tropics, we've only got about 10% chance of a system developing in the Eastern Pacific here. That's about it. Tropics are slowly winding down. So let's take a look at the lower 48. Lower 48 right now. The big story is, well, we thought it would be the East Coast storm, but this storm is fairly weak. You can see that there is a line of showers, embedded thunderstorms. The main threat is across Florida here as the system's really slowing down and stalling out. And all the way up the East Coast, we have this trailing warm front across New England and central New York and central Pennsylvania. There's a lot of cloudiness across the East Coast with this, but the big story is the temperatures. Temperatures are from the mid to high 80s in Florida all the way up into the mid to upper 70s across the southern tier of New York down into northeast Pennsylvania. Southern New England's even in the upper 60s right now, over to Boston, lower 60s. This is pretty much above normal for this time of year. And we have 60s all the way up into New England and 60 degrees all the way over to Newfoundland. So Nova Scotia and Newfoundland over here, we have a very warm section of air for this time of year. 60s across southern Ontario and 60s stretching on across the northern Great Lakes. So what do we have for the rest of the area? We have a cold front extending across the northern Great Plains here. This is where temperatures are in the 70s and 80s across the portions of South and North, just South Dakota, heading on down towards Nebraska. But just in North Dakota, we're north of the front, we're talking about very strong winds, snowfall, snow all the way over to Montana. We have reports of up to 9, 10, 11 inches of snow. You can see the snow reports coming in here across Montana. We also have a lot of wind advisories and winter weather advisories across this region. But it's interesting because in Nebraska, you right now have temperatures in the mid to high 80s, and just north of that front, you actually have temperatures in the 20s, teens, and 30s. So this is quite interesting setup. This is a strong front, and this front's going to be tracking across the upper Great Lakes. This is the front that is going to bring a major pattern change to the east coast of the United States. Where the east coast right now, you're seeing 80s in Florida, 70s across the northeast, and 60s as far north as Newfoundland and over towards Quebec, southern Ontario province. Very mild for this time of year. This cold front's going to come smashing down through and will completely destroy your warm weather party for the East Coast and Eastern Canada. So, sorry to say, but fall will be setting in, and overnight lows Sunday night across many portions of the interior Northeast from Pennsylvania, New York on up to Maine could be in the upper 20s to lower 30s. So, a touch of fall is coming down from Alberta, Canada here, all the way down through the East Coast. The rest of the nation, this West Coast here just doesn't want to get any rain. From Seattle down to San Diego, San Francisco, Portland, Eureka, all these places all up and down I-5, no rain. You desperately need the rain though, and not much snowpack either. Most of the snow is occurring up here in the north central plains. As far as temperatures, we went over those, and let's take a look at precipitation model. Precipitation model actually has this east coast system slowly draping off the coastline here. But we have a more vigorous system moving into the Ohio Valley here. And this is where we'll get into some shower and some cyclogenesis here across New Jersey. And this is where we'll see a low spawn Friday and actually bring some moisture and some rain up in through eastern Pennsylvania, southern tier of New York, up in through the Catskills and the Hudson Valley region. And the rain will continue to pivot on north towards New England for the throughout the weekend. So looking for a very rainy start to the weekend in the northeast. We also have that front dropping down across, and this front will actually meet up with this system developing in the northeast here, and this will reinforce the colder air on later Sunday and on into Monday, where we'll have the coolest pool of air. But we'll get a warming trend towards the middle of next week across the northeast and east coast. We'll be seeing highs back into the lower to middle 60s. But there are some surprises ahead, and I will have my winter weather forecast for the entire winter 2012-2013 season, and that will feature what I expect for this winter. And I do expect an early snowfall for much of the northern states, including the northeast, New York, Pennsylvania, New England. I'm meteorologist Mark Molnar. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. You can keep track of our video feed from there. Subscribe to us above on YouTube here. If you like the video, like it. You post a comment, a question, anything below. And don't forget to visit www.meteomark.com.